The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to hear Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me." And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine rose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. He was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger." "I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound.' He was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him, but he answered his father, 'Look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him.' And he said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad. For this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Brothers and sisters, there's some extra seating in the chapel, and we have a speaker set up there. We learned from last month. So if anyone would like a seat, please feel free to make use of the one in the chapel.
Standing room only. Welcome everyone. Great to see you all. Some years ago I was living in the States, and I did a course for priests on spiritual direction. There was about 70 priests. Father Charles is doing something very similar right now. And one of the teachers, who was also a priest, he had this little saying that he would say from time to time. So it stayed with me. And it was this: if you get God right, you get yourself right. If you get yourself right, you get the world right. It sounds so simple, but it's Very, very deep. If you get God right, you get yourself right. If you get yourself right, you get the world right. What is he saying? He's saying if you come to know God truly as he is, not just certain limited or distorted version of him, you come to know yourself better. He reveals you to yourself. And the more you know yourself through God's eyes, the more you see the world correctly. If you get God right, you get yourself right. If you get yourself right, you get the world right. So today, Jesus reveals to us the essence of who God is. The essence of who God is. A merciful and compassionate Father. It's nice to have the mic turned up. It's normally the other way. He's telling this story to the scribes and the Pharisees. Remember the beginning of the story. Because they didn't understand why Jesus, the rabbi, the Holy One, would eat with tax collectors and prostitutes. And what's he doing? He's trying to help them get God right. So that they can get themselves right. So that they can see the world right. Catechism, talking about this very parable, says this. Only the heart of Christ, who knows the depths of the Father's love, could reveal to us the abyss of his mercy in so simple and beautiful a way. To be honest, I think we're all so familiar with this gospel. We hear a man had 2 sons, and then we think, I wonder what's for lunch. Prodigal son. And that's part of the problem, isn't it? We become too familiar with the gospel. Become too familiar with the good news so that it doesn't really penetrate those places of our hearts that still need to be evangelized by the good news. I just want to look briefly at the gospel. The first thing, a man had 2 sons. What does this reveal to us about who God is? He's a father. He's a father. And then we hear he's a father who gives freedom to his children. We've tended to call it free will. Because when the son says, can I take my inheritance and go? The dad says, sure. And he gives it to him. He lets him go freely. The younger son's not satisfied in the father's house. So he goes off. And the gospel says that he goes to a far-off land. He squanders his inheritance on reckless living. And then it gets so bad. Remember, he's Jewish. They don't even touch pigs, don't eat pork meat. He has to feed the pigs, and not just feed them, he wants to eat their very food. Imagine if you're one of Jesus' hearers, this is like really bad. Really bad. He's not just, he's far off, he's left his home, he's feeding pigs, and he wants to eat their food. For the Jewish hearers, this implied sort of an apostasy. He's become a pagan. He's turned away. And what does that mean for the father? The door's shut. This is the end of our relationship. It's gone too far. And there's this beautiful line in the gospel. It says, but when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I prefer the old translation, to tell you the truth. We used to say, coming to his senses. He's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Have you ever thought that? Right? What am I doing? Here I am again, in this spot, trying to find happiness in this particular way, through this particular means. And you sort of like, come to your senses. It's beautiful because what does he do? He remembers his father. He remembers his father. How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger. So what does he do? He makes the painful and shameful journey home. And you can imagine, right, in his heart, that was a long and difficult walk. What's he thinking? Gosh, what's my dad going to say? He's got his little speech planned. It's interesting. He said, I'm going to become a hired servant. A hired servant was even less than a slave. Because a slave, in the times of the Jews, you owned the slave. They were kind of part of your family. The hired servant, you paid them and then they went home. They weren't even part of your family. They couldn't even rely on a job. So he doesn't even see himself worthy to be a slave, a hired servant. Just, I'm going to work for you. And then we hear the beautiful Father. Not only is the Father waiting patiently for his Son's return, he even runs out to meet him. Again, some context. Elderly Jewish men didn't run. It was considered undignified. And especially didn't run for this lost, wayward, selfish son of mine. Jesus is teaching us about who the Father is. The Father runs, brothers and sisters, as soon as he catches sight of him. I can imagine he sees him. He waits till he comes into view. And he runs to meet him. Imagine how surprised the Son is. And the Gospel tells us he embraces his Son. He's filled with compassion. And he kisses him. I love that. Kisses him. I'm from England, you know. Your dad doesn't kiss you too much. Maybe if you're from Italy or France or other cultures. Not so much in England. It's beautiful to receive the kiss of the Father when you're sinful, shameful, dirty, lost. And the Father restores his dignity. What does he say? Quick. Bring quickly the best robe, restoring his dignity, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand. What's the ring a symbol of? His restored inheritance. The Son wore the ring of the Father. And shoes on his feet. What's that? A symbol of freedom. Slaves didn't have shoes because they could run away if they had shoes. A son is always free. So he can go again if he wants. He gives him shoes. Brothers and sisters, this is the Father. This is the Father. He waits for us. He restores us to our dignity. Restores us to our inheritance. But the older son doesn't get it. And who's the older son representative of? The Pharisees. The younger son, the tax collectors and the prostitutes, the one who tried it all out there. The Pharisees are the good people. He's angry at the Father's mercy and generosity. He refuses to come into the Father's house. So what does the Father do? Say, well, fine, up to you. You miss out on a nice party. No. He goes to meet him also. You see, the Father always goes out. This is the incarnation. The Father didn't wait for us to somehow do our bit. He went out of himself. He sent his Son. So he goes to meet him also. And what does he say? He says, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. Have we heard that, brothers and sisters? You are always with me. All that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad. I would say it's not really. It wasn't really fitting to celebrate and be glad. He should have just been relegated, to the barn and work. But no, in the Father's heart, it was fitting. Why? For this, your brother. What's he also doing there? He's restoring communion. He's pointing to a relationship. Your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. Brothers and sisters, the elder son, what did he do? He lived the right way, but without relationship. You see, rules without relationship leads to rebellion. Rules without relationship leads to rebellion. And it leads to rebellion for both of them. The younger son, He's off. He's trying to do it his own way, find his own thing. The older son, sticking by the rules, working for the dad, no relationship, no experience of compassion, no experience of mercy, no experience of providence. Earning. I'll tell you a little story about my own dad. So, I grew up in Bedfordshire, and so my mum's Catholic and my dad isn't. So I sort of saw two experiences of life, really. But my dad, he showed me God in some ways by how he lived and how he treated us. We used to go to Cornwall on holiday every year, from when I was about 7 to when I was 11. I'm the oldest of 3. And those of you a bit older remember the old school days. You just pack everyone in the car. It's a 5-hour drive. So my dad was in the front, my dad was the driver, my granddad's in the passenger seat, my nan and my mum were in the back, with me, my brother and my sister. And we normally listen to cricket on the way down, so like torture. And so we're in the car, we're packed in, we get to Cornwall, and then Cornwall's by the Atlantic Ocean, so the sea's pretty rough. And my dad would say to me, if you want to go in the sea, it's fine, just let me know. And we would always go to beaches where there were lifeguards. And so I would say, Dad, I'm going in the sea, and he'd just be lying there, and he'd go, okay. And then I'd run down to the sea, and I would jump in, I'd be swimming around. And then slowly, he would make his way down to the water's edge, and he'd stand there with his hands behind his back, he'd plant his feet in the sand, and if I moved outside of the flags, he'd just go like this. And if I went too far the other way, he'd go like this. And I thought about it. You know, as you get older, you start to reflect on your relationship with your parents a lot more. And I was like, why did he come? Got lifeguards. This guy's a trained swimmer. Right? Blows a whistle. You. Because he's my dad. And he wants to make sure that his son is safe. And I was thinking about it. I think sometimes we treat the church, the teaching of the church, as like the flagpoles. Oh, got to stay in between the flagpoles. You know, the fun is outside the flagpole, where it's a bit more rough and risky. And if we only know the lifeguard, we're just going to feel restricted. If we don't live in relationship with the Father, we won't stay there because we don't live in relationship. And this, brothers and sisters, is the invitation of today's gospel. Is to know the Father and to know that the Father wants the best for me. To know that the Father wants the best for me. Francis of Assisi, it's 800 years, you probably all know this at this point. Right? 800 years since he died, 1226 he died. Right now, his bones are on show in Assisi in the Basilica. They're estimating 400,000 people will walk past his bones and pray in about 6 weeks. 400,000 people. He didn't have an easy relationship with his dad. He came to know God as his Father. He came to know God as his Father. And some of the writers will say, if you want to understand Francis, you look at him through this lens. This lens of knowing God as Father. Just to read a little quote for you. Through the grace of prayer and conversion, Francis got God right. He knew him as Father. He says this, he's a spiritual writer. God to him was before all else the great Father, the infinite love, who encompasses all creation with watchful solicitude. See, this is the secret of Francis's poverty. He who'd grown up in a wealthy home realized it doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. The Father will provide. This is the secret of Francis's love for creation. It's not just, oh wow, isn't this all beautiful? Ecology, separated from relationship. It's no, the Father has made all this. It's an expression of him. brother sun, sister moon, brother fire, sister wind. They're relational terms because God is a father. That's all we've seen in relationship. And this is behind Francis' desire for reconciliation between people. He'd been to war. He knew the evil of war, the suffering of war. His dad was very materialistic. He knew what greed could do, separate people. So he desired that people would be one, because this is the Father's desire. Francis, brothers and sisters, knew the Father. He knew his love and mercy, so it changed the way he saw God, changed the way he saw himself, changed the way he saw the world. I'll close with this. Pope Francis, in Jubilee year 2013, said this: "The Jubilee is a favorable time for all of us, because by contemplating divine mercy, which overcomes all human limitations, we are able to become more certain and effective witnesses. By contemplating divine mercy, which overcomes all human limitations, we are able to become more certain and effective witnesses." This is the secret of St. Francis. He contemplated divine mercy, the cross, the crib, the Eucharist. He would walk the streets in the countryside of Assisi singing, well, not singing, "Love is not loved," weeping, because he experienced this love and he knew that people didn't know it. Love is not loved. So I want to make it very concrete. I encourage you to make a good confession during Lent. To return to the Father. If it's been a while, make that journey. Make that journey. Just, okay, this is going to be hard. And make it. As you walk, he comes to run to meet you, embraces you, kisses you. That's healing. The Father's embrace is healing. And then, contemplate the Father's mercy. Last night, Father Francesco and I, Stations of the Cross. It's a tradition, but it's beautiful. Because as we contemplate what the Lord went through, we see how much we're loved. And then there's an image, and there's above that. Maybe take some time today. Rembrandt's Prodigal Son. I think, if I'm right, it was his last painting. And at that point, he'd lost a lot of the money that he made through painting from gambling. Two of his wives, he had 2 wives, had both died. A couple of his children had died. He was struggling. And then he paints this masterpiece. Who's the son? Lost in the Father's arms. He is. He is. Just falling into the Father's chest. Just receiving that embrace to his tired and weary soul. And sisters, if you get God right, you get yourself right. If you get yourself right, you get the world right. As we receive the Lord today in Holy Communion, there's a beautiful prayer from Philip the Apostle. He said, "Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us." Amen.